Okay, picture this. It's Saturday night, you're up $1,000 at the casino. Feeling like a genius, like you cracked some secret code the universe forgot to hide properly. Then, you lose it. All of it. In 20 minutes. Same $1,000, gone. Now here's my question, and I want you to really sit with this. Which felt stronger? The winning or the losing? If you said the losing hit harder, congratulations. You're not weak, you're not dramatic, you're just human. And that one little quirk in your brain, it's been quietly destroying your financial life for years. Back in the 1970s, two psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, were sitting around basically asking, why are humans so bad at making decisions? Relatable guys, honestly. And what they found was wild. Losing $1,000 feels psychologically twice as painful as winning $1,000 feels good. Let that sink in. The joy of gaining $1,000 and the agony of losing $1,000 are not equal in your brain. Losing wins. Every time. They called it loss aversion. And it's not a bug in your brain, it's a feature. Way back when your ancestors were running from predators, the ones who were more afraid of losing their food, their shelter, their tribe, they survived. The optimistic ones who thought, it'll be fine, yeah, they didn't make it. So your brain inherited a brilliant survival mechanism. The problem? You're not running from lions anymore. You're trying to build wealth, and the same brain that kept your ancestors alive is keeping your portfolio paralyzed. Now, here's where I'm going to say something that sounds completely wrong. Ready? Losing money is not your biggest financial problem. I know, stick with me. Your biggest financial problem is your fear of losing money. Because here's what loss aversion actually does in the real world. It makes you hold cash instead of investing, because what if the market crashes? It makes you sell your stocks the second they dip, locking in the loss you were trying to avoid. It makes you avoid starting a business because you might lose the startup money. It makes you stay in a dead-end job because leaving feels like losing security. You're not protecting yourself from loss, you're guaranteeing a different kind of loss, the slow, invisible, quiet loss of opportunity. And that loss never shows up on a bank statement, so your brain never panics about it, which is exactly why it's so dangerous. Let me introduce you to Dave. Dave is smart. Dave has a decent job. Dave has $10,000 sitting in a savings account earning 0.5% interest. Dave knows about index funds. Dave has heard about the S&P 500 returning an average of 10% a year historically, but Dave doesn't invest. Why? Because what if he loses it? So Dave sits and waits for the right time. Meanwhile, inflation quietly eats 3% of his money every single year. Dave thought he was being safe. Dave was losing the whole time, just slowly enough that his brain didn't scream. Now flip it. Investor Dave puts that $10,000 into a simple index fund and doesn't touch it for 20 years. At 10% average return, that's $67,000. Dave's version? Still around $10,000, maybe less after inflation. Same starting point, completely different destination. The only difference was who was more afraid of losing. Loss aversion doesn't just freeze you, it actively tricks you into making terrible decisions. Here are the 3 sneaky ways it shows up. Trap 1, the sunk cost. You bought a stock at $50. It's now at $30. You know it's a bad investment, but you won't sell because selling means admitting the loss is real. So you hold, and it drops to $15. Your brain would rather watch it bleed out than accept the loss. That's not investing. That's ego in a suit. Trap 2, panic selling. Market drops 15%. Everyone's freaking out. You sell everything to stop the bleeding. Market recovers 3 months later. You just locked in the loss you were trying to avoid. Loss aversion made you do the exact opposite of what you should have done. Trap 3, the safe option illusion. Keeping money in a savings account feels safe,
But when inflation runs at 4% and your savings earns 1%, you're losing 3% of your purchasing power every single year. The safe choice was the risky one all along. Loss aversion doesn't protect you from loss. It just changes what kind of loss you experience. All right, so how do you actually rewire this? You can't just tell your brain to stop being afraid. That's like telling yourself to stop being hungry. Doesn't work. But you can set up systems that make loss aversion irrelevant. 1. Automate your investments. If the money moves automatically to your investment account before you see it, your loss aversion never gets triggered. You can't fear losing what you never felt you had. 2. Stop checking your portfolio every day. Seriously, every time you check and see red, your brain registers a loss even if you haven't sold anything. The more you check, the more pain. The more pain, the more likely you do something stupid. Check quarterly. That's it. 3. Reframe the loss. Instead of thinking, I could lose $1,000, think, I'm paying $1,000 for a chance at $10,000. Investors don't avoid risk. They price it. They accept it as the cost of entry. The market is not a casino. But if you let loss aversion run your decisions, you're going to play it like one. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Every wealthy investor you admire has lost money. A lot of it, multiple times. The difference is they understood that loss is not the enemy. Fear of loss is. Your brain was built to survive. But surviving and thriving are two very different games. And the sooner you stop playing by your brain's old rules, the sooner your bank account starts telling a different story. If this hit different, and I think it did, subscribe, because next week we're going into something even darker about how your mind handles money. You don't want to miss it. See you there.